Hey everybody, this is Doing Lines. This is a sports betting podcast where we bet on all the not sports and some of the sports of it's getting worse every week. I am forgetting the tagline. It's getting worse every week.
What are you, the Tennessee Titans, folks?
I'm your host, Kyle Ayers, here as always with my co-host, Austin Huff. Hello, Austin.
Hi, Kyle. I am coming to you live from a prison cell. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, which you can now watch these podcasts on YouTube, if you care to do so, at youtube.com/corkpath. I'm in a prison cell.
It certainly does. You look like where you would see the footage of someone accidentally confessing.
It's actually funny because I am actually getting my lawyer's about to come in any minute now. So if he comes in, I might have to leave.
Oh, that's great.
Early, but yeah.
And I look like I'm at like a blue collar prison cell. Or a white-collar prison cell. I'm like where the Enron guys are, where they're just like they have a filtered water pitcher.
You're in the prison that Martha Stewart went to.
Can I get some Coax storage in my prison? One of the first times I ever did a comedy thing, I mean that in the Vegas of in sophomore year of high school, we had to write we were learning what satire was.
Oh, yeah.
And I wrote a skit where it was Martha Stewart dressing up her jail cell. And so I was she was showing you how to cook food and great. Boil the water in the toilet and stuff like that to try and slow cook a roast.
Were you in high school when she went to prison?
I don't remember.
Or were you just ahead of your time? Were you predicting something funny that?
I mean, I would imagine that she was probably in jail if I was doing a long segment about her being in jail. And then I remember my teacher was like, "This is funny. You should look up this Conan O'Brien guy if you haven't." And then I did, and that's where I found that, and that's where that went.
No joke. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, while we're confessing things about people, I guess troubled people that we did high school bits about. My freshman year of high school, I wrote a song while spending the night at my buddy Jeff's house that I ultimately played for my senior talent show. And it was a song that was very random at the time. It was very funny at the time. And now I think it's extremely problematic just based on the divisiveness of this. But the song was called Donald Trump in the Water. And it literally, the lyrics were just Donald Trump in the water, Donald Trump in the water. Let's get him out of the water. Let's get him out of the water.
You're asking me if I predicted something weird? I could see because you're the heavy lies the head that wears the crown with the predictions here.
Well, I will say, it wasn't Donald Trump in the hot water, so I don't.
Or Donald Trump pretends he has way more water than he actually has, and it becomes a situation legally. And now Donald Trump can't have a sink in New York. Let's recap last week and let's get into the episode. So if this is your first time listening, how this works is Austin and I and a special guest every week bet $1,000 across a bunch of stupid, basically fake bets. And then we see who can do the best, making the most money betting on sort of the orbit of sports, but not necessarily actual sports bets you would see anywhere else.
Yeah, we're loosely tied to sports the way Taylor Swift is loosely tied to Travis Kelce. Right?
I would say we're even more so. Taylor Swift is loosely tied to sports. If we're tied to sports, then the person who said she's seemingly eating ranch is tied to journalism. That's right. Where we're at.
Look, a lot of podcasts will break down the X's and O's of sport. Mm-hmm. We will break down what flavor of popcorn we think was in the popcorn.
We'll break down the XOXOs of sports.
We are gossip girls.
Yeah. You can TMC us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen. So last week, Sarah Tiana was on, and she is so funny and knows so much more about sports than I do, and it showed. So if we go back through last week, Austin, we had our first winning weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think we've been in the red the last 2 weweeks.
We have.
Not to make another Taylor Swift reference.
But last week, I won $800. You won $900.
Uh-oh.
Which I believe brings us to a tie for the year so far.
Probably.
At about negative 1,000. And then Sarah won $1,000, which puts her in second place for the year behind Kyle Brandt with $1,302. Sarah has $1,000, and Megan Gailey from week 2 is at negative $850 thanks to Anthony Richardson's concussion, amongst other things.
Yeah, right. That was a week from hell. I don't know how we did so poorly in week
I would
2,
say
but
last week
back.
we did pretty good. Some of our bigger bets that hit, the Carlos Santana baseball player having more hits than Jordan Love had touchdowns, played out well for you. And then I hit pretty big on it being hotter on the field in Jacksonville than either of the teams could play.
That was a good bet, and I honestly went back to look up the temperature because I was that one
not as
like,
hot
just
as you
sat
think
with me over the weekend. Like, and that's the thing I love about this podcast is like we'll make these dumb bets, and then you'll like when you're watching a game on Sunday, you'll be like, oh yeah, like it'll like these random stupid bets will like randomly and
just a fun
you
thing to say,
it.
like here's what I thought the wildest bet of the week was. We had a bet that was, will the Chiefs wide receivers have more touchdowns or the Bears as a team? And the Bears as a team won 1-0.
That's
no
insane.
Chiefs receivers scored a touchdown in a game they scored 41 points. Jerick McKinnon had 2, Kelsey had 1, and they ran in 2, and they kicked 2 field goals. Rashee Rice got tackled at the 1-yard line twice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it's a very wild thing that the Bears won that bet. You'd think that it wouldn't have been 41-0 at one point.
Yeah,
but it was.
That's the way this cookie crumbles. Honestly, it's like the bets that you think are going to hit or it's going to be easy, a walk-in, if you will. They do not come to fruition.
You know the phrase, if it involves a bet that's like for some reason $15 and not that good, you say that's the way the crumble cookies.
Why are they so expensive?
They're so expensive.
They're so expensive. I took
you
out
shouldn't
a
be able to
mortgage
buy
on my
a
home just to get a stick pack for my boss.
You shouldn't be able to buy a cookie and qualify for free shipping. All right. Well, this week, let's go ahead and get into our bets this week.
It's
NFL week.
Dad got some cookies.
Dad wanted Cinnamon Toast Crunch wet.
Oh my gosh! All right, we got a great guest this week.
We do.
A guy is a singer-songwriter by the name of Dave Barnes. If you're familiar with his music, or if you're not familiar with his music, I know you're definitely familiar with some of the songs that he has written. He is honestly. I told Kyle this before we started recording, but in the rankings, in my power ranking of quickest people that I know, the wittiest people that I know, Kyle Ayers is number 1, which is why I do this podcast. And number 2 is Dave Barnes. This guy is so quick, he's so much fun, and he's just laughs at everything. You are going to really enjoy him, and let's get to him, right?
Let's do it.
We're joined now by one of my favorite people on earth, because not only is he insanely talented when it comes to singing and songwriting, he's also insanely talented when it comes to stand-up comedy, and he's and he just happens to be really good looking as well. He is Dave Barnes. Dave, how are you, man?
I'm great. Other than, forgive the sunglasses, I'm just going to start there. I had eye replacements. And it was green, and just really wanted blue, and so we had a little extra income, and so my wife was like, it feels like the right time.
One of those classic Minority Report eye replacements.
It is. It was just one of those.
I worried when I was introducing you. I was like, this is Dave, right? I wasn't sure if it was like Guy Patterson from the Oneaters or what, but
or another reference we all understand and think about. I'm pretty sure that was a Chat GPT pop culture reference from Austin.
That was, fun fact about the music industry, like that, of course, people love and know that music or that movie in my world, but it's like that lick that is it Wolfman is the bass player? Remember the guy they hired?
Yeah.
And it's like one of the most ridiculed lines in any movie in the music world that I'm in, which is like where he goes, I don't know, you think you can do it? And he's like, I don't know, whatever, like, I don't know if this is, and he does like this almost every bass player I know knows that as a joke. Like they'll just do it, and you're like, oh, okay, I know. It becomes like this whole thing.
That is awesome. And also big in the music world is hopping over parking meters too, right?
Well, we do what we can. It's just
just don't break your wrist, because then you're out of the band. That is it for our That Thing You Do segment of the podcast. Now,
brought to you
Dave,
by
before
Rita
we get
Wilson.
to our bets, obviously you're a singer-songwriter with how many do you is it? I know you have one number one to your credit, courtesy of Blake Shelton, who just took one of your songs and ran with it. But do you have any others?
Yeah, I actually do. I had there's a song called "Craving You" that Thomas Rhett and Marianne Morris did, and then I had literally 2 or 3 months ago, I had a song that Dan and Shay did that got to number 2, and then Morgan Wallen, who's a new artist nobody really knows about, had been camping out at the top of the charts for like a millennia, and our song got there, sat, and then finally fell off, and he just.
Well, you know what they say: first is the worst, second is the best. So I mean.
Yes. I've lived by that motto.
I don't think. Do accountants say that?
I think so. I think so. All right. Well, before we get into our bets for this week, Dave, we're obviously you've had so many number ones and even more number twos.
This is a parent potty training their child, is what that sounds like.
Dave, we're all very wealthy, very rich. In fact, you're probably leaving to hop on your private jet right after
I'm
this.
sitting on money right now. Don't even have chairs. It's just stacks of cash.
It's just that pile the Joker slides down.
It's exactly.
In honor of that, we like to donate all of our fake winnings from our fake money to fake charities. So what fake charity will you be playing?
Yeah, and I've worked with them for a while, so it's meant a lot to ask me to come on. It's the Pro Bono's Pro Football Nonprofit, and their tagline is "What's more hip than a hip replacement?" And what we're doing is we're trying to raise money for Bo to get a newer hip, so that we can put him back on the gridiron and the gridiron. And what we feel about that is kind of a two-pronged attack. One, that he compete again, and we all deserve to see that, especially in the day of social media, because we missed all the highlights, which he was, a human highlight reel. So one, I think we just want to see him back out there. God gave it to him, and I think it's still there. I don't think he's too old. He's in shape. He's ready. And then two, it's an act of benevolence, because it's time to get those RBs paid again, as we all know. We feel like with Bo's notoriety, there's going to be a surefire resurgence in the performance and what they value. And it feels like one of those rising tides, raises all boats. So that's kind of what we've been working on here in Nashville.
Raising all bows?
But
I was very worried that as a Chiefs fan, I was worried it was a pro bono Steve Bono's football nonprofit. And I was like, well, that guy actually owes me time of my life back.
We're actually in litigation with them right now. I can't speak too much to it, but
just as long as it's not the post Bono ski trip.
Hey,
folks.
This is the pro bono Sonny Bo No Tree Left Behind act.
We're going out on a limb on these.
All right, let's start recording.
Leave it alone.
So wait, let me get real quick. Pro Bono Bono's
Pro Football.
Full name? Pro Football. Football.
Pro Bono's Pro Football Nonprofit.
Okay. All right. So, Dave, in the sunglasses, just to clarify which Dave I'm speaking to.
There's a lot of Daves in this, Dave. Just so you know.
A lot of Daves. We're going to deliver our bets to you right now, and just we ask that you save all fake bets until the very end, until you've heard all of them, and then you can dive in and allocate your money however you see fit. Okay. I will ask before we get started, Dave. You are a man that I go to a lot of times for great fantasy football team names. So I have to ask before we get started, what is this year's fantasy team name?
I'm proud of this one. A bridge over troubled waddle. And I didn't have time. I usually make a list, but this year it was so fast. But I was like, oh, that's good. I actually like that.
A bridge over troubled waddle.
Waddle. There it is.
Okay. All right. That's solid. All right, Kyle. Do you want to go ahead and get started with your
here
first
we
bet of
go.
the week?
I got 3 bets this week. I say that every week because that's how many I have to have. This week I'm coming in hot with the same amount I have for 29 straight weeks. I don't know if you guys heard about this. I mean, in Nashville, they might reference this person. Taylor Swift was apparently at a football game.
Mm-hmm.
And
is that the singer?
It is. You know what I have loved watching is people pretend they have never heard of Travis Kelce in front of their husbands. This is like an all-time trend that's happening for me right now. Women will be like, "Have you heard of this Travis Kelce? He's dating Taylor Swift and he's famous now." And men will be like, "I'm gonna kill myself if you say that to me."
Yeah.
Like the ego is incredible.
Yep.
Look, they're both 33. We don't have to pretend we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
It's two adults. All right, my first bet. I'm a huge Chiefs fan.
Okay.
The Chiefs are very thankful she was there. Even more thankful were the Bears, because then we didn't have to talk about that football game last week. They were just like two teams doing a fun exhibition on the field while this lady eats chicken fingers. And this week, during the Chiefs game, they're playing the Jets, which is insane. It's over under 1.5 quarters without a Taylor Swift mention.
Oh.
So will she get mentioned in more than 1.5 of the quarters? So if you get mentioned once, that's a yes.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times in that quarter you get mentioned, just during that quarter.
So with overtime, which, like, I'm giving Zach Wilson way too much credit here, but if overtime, it's a
you know what, if
potential
this
of
game
5.
if this game goes into overtime, I won't be watching anymore as a Chiefs fan, so I don't know.
Yeah, you'll be in a dark place.
That can count as up to 6 quarters, or I guess 5 quarters. Yeah.
Okay.
But over under 1.5 of them does she get a mention? My next one, what I'm calling this one a most disappointing Sunday. The Bears are playing the Broncos this weekend in what has to be a Madden simulation prank. And I'm trying to think. The Bears are worth $5 or $6 billion. The Broncos are worth $5.1 billion. Jeez. When is the last time this much money was this disappointing on a Sunday? I'll tell you, the finale of Game of Thrones. This much money has not let down this many people since the last episode of Game of Thrones. The final episode of Game of Thrones is a 4.0 on IMDb. Will there be over under 4 total touchdowns in the Bears-Broncos game? And what I'm calling a most disappointing Sunday. I was going to do will Justin Fields rush for more yards than Bran walked before he lost his legs, but that felt like too deep of a Game of Thrones reference. So over under 4 touchdowns in the Bears-Broncos game. And then my last one, Thursday night, Packers-Lions, Jordan Love, Jared Goff. Did you guys know if you rearrange the letters in Love Goff, it'll give you glove off?
Ooh.
Speaking of glove off, Vladimir Guerrero Sr. would always – I was trying to avoid OJ here. Vlad Sr. famously
hit – Broncos tie-in if you wanted it, but keep going.
Yeah. Oh, if I mention OJ again on this podcast, our SEO is going to tank.
It is. We mentioned OJ more than OJ mentions himself on his little Twitter videos.
We've got a cease and desist from the state of Florida and Tropicana.
Gosh.
That's how much we've mentioned him.
Yeah, Kyle spent the last 3 years in prison just because people thought he was tied somehow to OJ.
But it turns out it was OJ's own signatures. Vlad Guerrero Sr., the baseball player, obviously never wore batting gloves. His gloves were off. He hit 318 for his career. Will either of these quarterbacks throw for 300? You know what? I'll even do this. Will either of these quarterbacks have 318 total yards?
Rushing and passing.
Yes. Either of them. So you could win up to twice or lose up to twice on this one.
Okay, so Jordan Love and Jared Goff.
Yes. So I got the over-under 1.5 quarters without mentioning Taylor Swift.
Oh, can I tell you a fun fact about that?
Oh, yeah.
Buckle up for here's your Kelce Swift. Travis Kelce gained 300,000 social media followers, plus 400% increase in merchandise sales. Top 5 selling jersey in the NFL as of that game.
I mean, it's incredible. I do think it doesn't.
Taylor Swift making the rich.
You got to wonder how many jerseys he was selling, but
this week.
Well. No, hers just didn't go up by 400%. She's probably still tops. Juwan Taylor and DeAndre Swift jersey combinations. Who is more out of line, Taylor Swift or Juwan Taylor? That's a reference just to week 1. All right, so I got the Taylor Swift 1.5 quarter mentions, Bears Broncos over under 4 touchdowns, and then 318 total yards for either Love or Goff or both.
Okay. All right. I'm going with my first bet is aptly titled the Barnes Yard bet. Okay.
Oh.
Now I looked it up. There are no Daves in the NFL currently. All right. There are a lot of Davids, but most of them are just white offensive linemen. Okay. So there wasn't much I could do bet wise for them. So then I looked up the number of Barneses in the NFL.
Okay.
There are 4 Barneses. Derek Barnes on the Lions.
Okay.
Kalen Barnes on the Steelers.
Okay.
Chris Barnes, that's Chris spelled Krys because he is a Gen Zer.
It's pronounced Crease.
Crease Barnes.
Yeah.
Crease Barnes and Zaire Barnes.
Oh.
All right. All of which play defense.
Oh.
Either linebackers or cornerbacks.
Okay.
Now, I then took their teams, the Lions, Steelers, Cardinals, and Jets, and I took their average number of yards given up. The Lions give up 297 yards per game this season, Steelers 387, Cardinals 367, and the Jets 351. I added up all of those average yards given up, and it comes out to 1402. So do those 4 teams, the Lions, Steelers, Cardinals, and Jets, combine to allow over or under 1,402 yards this week? The Lions play the Packers on Thursday. The Steelers have the Texans. The Cardinals have the 49ers, and the Jets have the Chiefs. So you got the Chiefs and 49ers, which are just 2 unstoppable offenses. And then you've got the Texans and the Packers, which, here or there.
Yeah.
But 1,402 yards, that is my Barnes Yard. I guess it should be my Barn Yards bet of the week.
Yeah, maybe you should explain it again.
It is my Barnes Yard bet of the week.
We have to keep the free Zoom because otherwise Austin will go so long with his bets. Like, we literally need the 40-minute timer. Otherwise, we will not be able to do this.
It just never ends.
That's a good setup for my next bet.
Oh, here we go.
Now, we all know Bears-Broncos is going to be ugly, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be, it's just, personally, I don't think it's going to be as bad as everyone is saying, but people are like, oh, this one's going to be ugly. But how ugly?
Yeah.
This game is taking place in Chicago. Now, I think, okay, what movies are famously shot in Chicago?
None.
First one that comes to mind for me, none. Yeah, none. There are none. The first one that comes to mind for me is The Dark Knight.
Oh, you didn't go Ferris Bueller? That's like the most Chicago famous movie of all time, right?
No. Batman famously lives in the city of Chicago.
She got them.
You remember Goth Go?
You know what? I wish you guys would take days off. That's what I would.
Austin, I don't know if you know this, but I saw them shooting The Dark Knight in Chicago when I was visiting. I saw a bunch of cars with Gotham City license plates parked everywhere, and I just sort of started walking, and then they carted by a big charred helicopter, and I was like, this all feels weird. It was at 2 a.m. after
Lollapalooza
not enough
to,
one
get
night.
You out of your day's routine.
No, I know. It was the middle of the night. I was after Lollapalooza. It was the most Chicago thing possible.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Were you eating deep dish while you were walking?
No, but I was going back to the suburbs and claiming it was still Chicago. So I think that might be the most Chicago thing you could possibly do.
That feels very
All right. So, yeah. Okay. No, guys, it's The Dark Knight. That was the first. Just let me play out this bet, okay?
It's your
The
bet.
Dark Knight.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight feels a lot like the Bears this year because in the Batman franchise, at least the Christopher Nolan one, we were hoping that Katie Holmes would be in the sequel.
Yep, that was the one actor people really thought should have been in more of the movies and sadly wasn't, was Katie Holmes.
All right, how do I turn your mics off?
Wasn't she the Joker?
No, but I see one right now. Hey.
All right. And in the Bears franchise, we were hoping Justin Fields, we would get more of what we got of him in the previous installments of the Bears franchise. But instead, in both instances, we got Maggie Gyllenhaal. All right. Now, Maggie Gyllenhaal, I'll just say she's not the most attractive of actresses. All right. She's not ugly, not terrible, but she's just, some people might have a keen liking to her. So I want to go. So I looked up in the movie The Dark Knight how soon before we saw Maggie Gyllenhaal on screen, and it was 13 minutes and 51 seconds into the movie. Okay? Do the Bears and Broncos go 13 minutes and 51 seconds of game time without scoring a touchdown on Sunday? How ugly is Bears-Broncos going to be? Maggie Gyllenhaal or not?
That is mean. That is mean. That is just a mean. That's a
no,
mean.
It's not. I'm not saying she's ugly. I'm just
you could have used Two-Face. The guy with the burned half of face.
Instead.
Are we Harvey Dent, or are we the scarred half of a face that ruins his life?
He's like, no, Maggie Gyllenhaal's more.
Oh, is there anyone else in The Dark Knight with a disgusting, disfigured, scarred face? Well, surely
most of the characters have scarred faces.
Yeah.
Listen, it gives a little peek into Austin's psychoses. That's all.
Jake,
he has high
Gyllenhaal.
expectations.
Hey, speaking of a Gyllenhaal, let's go now to my pop culture bet of the week. Now, every week I unveil a bet that is loosely tied to pop culture, and honestly, there was nothing in the world of pop culture discussed other than Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. To the point where we have theories now that Taylor Swift left the game in a popcorn machine. What?
Mm-hmm.
I think, honestly, the NFL needed Swifties to join the league, because this has been one of the most fun weeks content-wise that I can remember, any NFL fan, because like what do NFL fans bring regularly? Oh, we break a couple of tables at a Bills tailgate. Like, no, like that. I love the fact that we're debating what Taylor Swift was eating her chicken fingers with. It's been a fun week of breaking down what happened on Sunday to levels that us NFL fans never would have been able to figure out. So I realized that there is technically, with all of this hype and hubbubaloo and TikToks and memes and everything that we've seen this week, we know there's been a lot of flirting between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. We have that confirmed. We know that to be true. But we can't confirm if there's been any scoring.
Oh, no.
So I looked up wideouts with the most flirting that have not scored yet this year.
The Deontay Johnson last season, I believe, had 80 catches and no touchdowns.
Oh.
It's like an absurd. You would only know that if he was on your fantasy team, and then you would know exactly
right.
that.
Exactly right. That is exactly right.
It was the most catches to never score a touchdown. God damn it. Anyways, go on, Austin.
The most targets without a touchdown this season so far through 3 games: Zay Flowers with 25, A.J. Brown with 30.
Wow.
Jamar Chase with 32, Chris Olave with 33, and then Puka Nacua, means no worries,
who I have
for the rest of your days, with 41.
I have him, and I feel his pain.
So I'm going over under 2.5 touchdowns. Excuse me, 1.5. Sorry, 1.5 touchdowns. So do we get 2 touchdowns out of those?
And you don't mean
guys?
1.5 guys. You mean 1.5 touchdowns total amongst all of them.
Yeah, we're going touchdowns, not necessarily guys catching touchdowns. So if A.J. Brown scores 3 touchdowns, boom, over hits. 1.5 over under 1.5 touchdowns out of those 5 guys.
Okay.
All right, and those are our bets this week.
Okay.
We'll give you some time, Dave, to mull it over.
I think I'm ready. I was
maybe-
taking copious notes.
Maybe take some medication for your pink eye. Whatever you need to do, the time is yours. The floor is yours. To allocate your $1,000 of fake money.
$1,000. Okay. I'm going big. Here's what's fun about me is I have no idea what over under means, and that's what makes the game fun. So, one, Can you say I grew up as a preacher's kid without saying you grew up as a preacher's kid? And I'll go first. So one is I am definitely, so you can tell me how this works. I'm going to go 500 on the Swift. She's going to be talked about, I mean, at least every 10 minutes. There's just because there's, I think that game will probably be a blowout. And so there's going to be a lot of so to Kelsey, fun fact about him, first concert was Ace of Base.
It'll be, if he catches a touchdown and dances, there's one, and then there'll probably be another another reference early on to it.
So I'm going. And what happens if she shows up? I mean, technically, she's lived in New York. She has a place.
Well, the Jets don't.
Oh. Do you think Taylor Swift has ever been to New Jersey in her entire? I mean, I guess playing MetLife.
I bet she's been to Billy Joel's house.
Yeah, maybe Bon Jovi's.
Yeah. So you think over 1.5 quarters?
Yeah.
500.
500. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Chicago. Like the Dark Knight, I was with you 13 minutes, and I'm going. They don't score. It ain't happening. And I'm doing 250 on that one.
Okay.
And then I'm going. I just this last one I'm invested because I have Nakua. And so I want to see it happen. And I just feel like between those 5 guys, there's going to be some TDs. Fantasy this year has been weird. It's like I've played for a while, and I've never seen a year that I think has been more one, injury riddled, and then 2, the O lines are just so collectively bad this year. It's every single team is just perennial running backs are getting
I mean, it was a bold move on the Bengals' part to be who let Patrick Mahomes get hurt? I think we should give that guy the bag. Oh, our quarterback's limping? Toss him out behind. Let his other quarterback get hurt last time he played a game.
It just feels but it just feels like it's got to turn at some point. It's just got to get better, So I'm going to go. I think they're going to get touchdowns this week. So I'm going to put the other 250 on the touchdowns happening.
All right. Now, which of those 3 are you most confident in that you want to lock in for the double win, triple loss?
I'm going T-Swizz. I mean, all day, every day. It's the lowest of low-hanging fruits. It is a pumpkin on a grapevine sitting on the ground waiting to be.
Yeah. You also have to be careful with those, though, sometimes, Dave.
Yeah, that's true.
What was it, Kyle? There was a bet last Thanksgiving where it was do they eat turkey on screen or something?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was something so obvious, and then it was just is a turkey referenced at all? And then they were it didn't happen.
Well, it does make you think. I mean, truthfully, what you just said, Austin, it makes you wonder if in their meetings this week that they're look, guys, we done. We beat it to death. Everybody knows.
I mean, you think it would be, but they literally had a Tyreek Hill used to play for the Chiefs graphic last week. And in the time since he played there, they won the Super Bowl. And they were will the Chiefs be good without Tyreek Hill? You're they very evidently were. But they still talk about that.
What if the graphic this week was, if she doesn't come to the game, will the Chiefs be good without Taylor Swift?
I'm waiting for the can the Chiefs move on from Tyler Thigpen graphic to pop up? People say the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce was big. They forget Tyler Thigpen used to date the Catch Me Outside girl.
Oh, that?
I did not know that.
No, I made that up. That just is what the Chiefs felt like. That's my example of what being a Chiefs fan felt like in 2011.
It just feels. I'm doubling on that because to exactly your point, it just feels like, what else are you going to talk about? The world is talking about it, and you feel like 2 things are happening. 1 or 2 things are happening in those production meetings. One is guys, it's the NFL. Let's have a little respect for ourselves. Or they're holy
beat this
crap,
to death.
Double. Yeah, I don't want you to go 2 minutes without mentioning this.
Right. Yeah. It's one or the other. It's literally there's no in between there. And yeah, if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm pissed that Taylor Swift is going with Travis Kelce in the year after we won the Super Bowl. I'm where the hell were you in the Brody Croyle days? Why were you not?
There's no way Brody Croyle's not married to a woman caught up in an MLM. He was a good Alabama quarterback who fizzled out. I mean, we got peaked in high school written all over it.
Yeah.
And he's still got those bang.
Yeah, he still looks like
Bama
Dimitri
bangs.
Martin never aged.
Christian Okoye. Let's really go back. Let's really enjoy our Chiefs history.
I mean, hey, the Chiefs did have a wide receiver whose house got burned down by a member of TLC.
Which, hey,
that is true.
thank you for bringing that back to my world. I know that world.
Well, Dave, we good luck with your bets this week. We wish you the best, and thank you so much for joining us. Playing injured, honestly, I think you're our first.
Whatever is happening with this eye, this could
our
be the last you ever see of me. I'm not sure how this goes from here. It could just the infection that takes over my body, and it's been a good run.
Well,
I would be great if Dave Barnes.
I don't think it would be.
Tragically passes away this week, and we have the last recording of him making fake bets for the
with
pro
really
bono
sad music in the background.
What was the last thing he said? Was it? Well, he was happy we brought up TLC. He said he died how he lived, wedging TLC references into conversations.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what? He did stick up for Maggie Gyllenhaal, which we do appreciate.
I will say this. Maybe this is the last thing I literally ever say. I bet you she's prettier in person.
See, and that's the thing.
The actress is tricky. Because
Maggie Gyllenhaal's one of those actresses where it's like, is she? I mean, I think she. Well, I don't know. And it's like,
was it her? There was a huge thing. This is a long time ago, but like 10 years ago, I feel like on the internet there was this huge thing that. Was it her that everybody it got really hotly debated if she was pretty or not?
No.
I think
it wasn't her. It was because The Office did an episode about it. It was she's from Cinderella Man.
Yes, from Princess Diaries.
Selma Hayek.
No,
yeah, Austin. Selma Hayek. The internet was debating whether or not she's attractive.
Wondered that she's pretty.
No. Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank.
And yes, she is.
Initials mixed up.
I got to tell everyone I'm not participating in this conversation. I wonder if Maggie Gyllenhaal is prettier in person than she was covered in gasoline on the floor of a warehouse in a movie.
Yeah. See, that's where, if we're doing a bet, I'm going, she's definitely prettier than that.
She's like a magic eye. If you just stare at her long enough, something else will appear.
Yeah, she's a guy on a surfboard if you pull your eyes back slowly.
A dolphin in flight.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. We'll let you know. Currently, if you want to know where we're at, if you make any money, you're on the podium. Kyle Brandt is winning with $1,302. Sarah Tiana won $1,000 last week, and so if you can do that, you'll be up there on the podium.
So I'm trusting y'all will let me know because this is. I mean, I need to know this. Okay.
We will definitely let you know, especially if you lose money, because we will come and collect that fake money.
Yeah.
Well, you know where to find me at the Bono's offices. So just come find me.
Dave, thank you so much, man.
Thank y'all. See you.
Awesome.
All right, big shout out again to Dave. That was great. He's got a possibility to make a good amount here if he hits on all of his bets. $1,000 lock.
Yeah. I love a guy being like, I have no idea what over-unders are, and then like putting down what looks to be a good betting slip.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just now figuring out what it all means. And O/U is the same thing. I actually just found out what the minus 400s and the plus 200s. I just found out what all that meant.
Yeah.
I would Google it and I didn't know, so I had to ask someone and have them show me.
Well, that's what I love about this podcast too. Is like when we're trying to get like guests on the podcast, people will sometimes be like, "Well, I'm not into betting at all," and I tell them, "You don't have to be for this podcast.
If we wouldn't be doing this."
Honestly, right. And then they'll be like, well, I'm not that big into football. And I'm like, again, another plus, honestly.
I gotta tell
It'll probably help you out.
We used an anagram machine for 5 of the bets this week. I think it's okay. Let me go ahead and allocate my money across here, and then I'll tell you my luck. So on the 1.5 quarters without mentioning Taylor Swift, I'm actually taking the over because I think they're only going to mention her in one. No, I'm taking the... Yeah, over 1.5 quarters.
Over 1.5 quarters.
They're going to mention her in 2.
Yeah.
I think they'll mention her in the first at the very beginning, and then I think Travis will score a touchdown, and I think some slight of little mention will happen.
They very honestly could mention her in all 4. It's
But every time we do a bet like this, mention Tyreek, mention Chris Jones, every time it's it never hits. They're like, it's like the okay. So then I got
it's like the most sure bets we have each week.
Yeah.
Rarely ever.
Do you want to? Let's do this. How about you tell me if you got anything on that bet? We'll just go bet by bet and let.
Okay. Yeah, bet by bet. I have the over on that for 300.
Okay. The disappointing Sunday. Will the Bears and Broncos be a more disappointing waste of a Sunday than the Game of Thrones finale was? I actually think they're going to score over 4 touchdowns. So I'm taking the over for $300, and that's going to be my lock.
I also have the over, and that is 100. Oh, my lock is
the Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Gosh, that means it's not going to happen.
Yep. And then the Love Goff, I'm putting $150 on one of them hitting the over of 318 total yards. They both could, and it could pay a little more, but I'm just hitting the over here.
If they both hit it and you only bet one over, do you lose the bet?
I would say if you bet the over and they both hit, you can win twice. If one hits, you win once. If neither hit, you lose twice.
All right, then in that case, I am betting the over.
The Barnes Yard bet, I put $150 on the over. I forgot what it was.
A total of 1,400
yards. That's right. I think that there's going to be like one 500-yard light up in there that I think can sort of.
Well, none of them are playing the Dolphins, which that would be half the yardage right there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we didn't even
none of them are
that.
Playing the Titans, which would only be 94. The Titans got 94 yards.
Right. The Dolphins and Titans still wouldn't average out to like what you need to hit this bet.
The Titans literally could have started with the ball. Still scored a touchdown. Based on their
they just need like a big
but
receiver who can do possession catches would be nice, someone who's experienced.
That's all. They're one piece away, honestly. A piece that they already have that is.
Boy, I wish that piece was in Kansas City. So bad.
Yeah, same. I was gonna say Kansas City needs some more stars.
What? So do you got anything on the Barnes Yard?
I'm taking $100 over. I think with the Chiefs and the 49ers, I don't know. I feel like they're gonna.
Yeah, the 49ers put up it doesn't matter where they start with the ball because even when they punt, it's like 6 play, 80-yard, then a punt or something. They just get yards.
Well, and the freaking don't sleep on the tech. CJ Stroud might be the best of rookie quarterback. And they play.
He's certainly better than the concussed one and the benched one.
People are asked. People are asked. So yeah, I'm taking the over on.
And then what do you have here on the 13-minute and 51-second without a touchdown?
What am I at? I'm at $600.
Yeah.
I think I'm not betting that.
Okay. I got $200 that they score quick. And then the last one, the targets without a touchdown, ZJ, Jamolave, and Puka. You have $400 on this one?
Oh no, sorry. I am betting Maggie Gyllenhaal. 1351. I'm gonna say under.
So they do score.
Yeah, they do score.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put $200 on that.
All right, and then your last one.
And then the pop culture bet of the week. Over under flirting without scoring 1.5 touchdowns. I'm gonna take the over.
All right.
Because if AJ Brown gets 2 touchdowns, I'm kind of banking on.
How
AJ Brown doesn't have a touchdown this year is beyond me. I took him first
because the Eagles, I think, purposefully kneel the ball at the 1 so they can push their quarterback in.
And that should be. I don't mean to sound old manish, okay? But like the way old men talk about banning shift baseball, I feel like talking about banning that push play. Even though I love it, I love the quarterback sneak, and I feel like not enough teams do it. It's just the Eagles do it so well.
I think the reason it won't get banned is because no one else does it that well. If it universally worked that well, if every quarterback squatted 675 pounds.
Yeah. I think that there's going to be a point where the Eagles line up on first and quarterback get a first down.
That would be awesome. I hope the Chiefs run it against them this year, even though I know they won't. All right, so we're allocated across here. I'm feeling good. I think that what do we have right now? It's a pretty close score between us, and we'll see how it plays out here this week. Go ahead and find us at CorkBats on Instagram and Twitter. You can keep up with the bets and see clips and stuff like that there, plus a bunch more. And go follow Dave and keep up. Let us know what you're betting.
Yeah, at Dave Barnes Music on all the socials there. I forgot to plug that while he was on with us.
And give us a little ratings and reviews of the podcast. It's super simple. Wherever you listen to it, just drop a 5-star in there. Oh, you know, if you don't think it's that, then don't do it, because that'd be
If you hate this podcast, say like don't rate, review, and subscribe. But if you love, if you're like, yeah, these guys are okay, also rate, review, and subscribe.
Yeah, and thank you so much.
I would take that as a bet. These guys are okay.